Okay, so what I've done now is I've conducted experiment where that was aimed to creating larger neurons. Actually, it's not the first time that I do it, but now it was done more like rigorously, and I used two, as usual, the two like silver, like non-transparent containers with transparent top with the symbols on it, on top of it, and on top of it a yellow the yellow cover, which is with light. That is not entirely transparent. Translucid cover, and indeed, I've seen like after that. Indeed, we have. As expected, the foam, rich foam, was started to be created, and after a while, it just stopped. Most probably because it was just again. My guess is it was just. The top was not seen. When like in the last in the last electrolysis experiments, when there is too much foam, they just don't see the symbol, and they just stop. I think that it's both like part of the theory, but and also I think it's supported by evidence that what I've hypothesized like a while ago that electrolysis work for the neurons by they attach themselves to the circuit, because it's like it's like a closed circuit. There are two rods inside the liquid, and it's a liquid that is somehow conductive. There is also sort of version of like what's inside the liquid. Of course, it can be like tons of stuff and all sort of like processes, chemical process. But in anyway, it's somehow conductive, and they can attach themselves to according to my theory, they can attach themselves to the circuits, and then first of all they probably increase the conductivity because they probably are very conductive. Some might argue even superconductive, but this is yet to be proven. But and then they can work. De facto they are components in the DC. It's a DC circle with components. So the components they can just put the electricity to use it to work. And what I see is that the same way that they can do it, they can undo it. Whether if they just don't want to, for maybe just they don't have like they don't feel like it. Or they don't need to do it, or maybe because it's getting too hot, which also can happen. But it didn't happen now because I used ice. It was the liquid could it was remnants of the pot that I threw away. Like it was a big pot that I threw yesterday and this morning, but there was still a little bit of like stuff in there, just a very small amount. But I've also added my pee and also a little bit of other materials and just a drop of semen. So there were neurons in there for certain, like to begin with, and I've tried to, and now I used the enlargement symbols, and also a very big magnet that I didn't use like before, but it's kind of like a new design. Let's see how I can maybe. So I spoke about it like yesterday, the day before, that I want to improve the design of the electrolysis compartment to include both permanent magnet and electromagnet. Permanent magnet is easier. You just put a magnet in there, even though it's actually it makes it. It's not that trivial because there are other considerations now to think about. But anyway, you want to see the slide, right? So I just so let's take a look. I expected the slide to look actually very much like the slide that contained the form where of the experiment where the command was to create new neurons, because in according to my understanding and my mathematics, I would say it's something that should be like maybe like I mean formulated mathematically, but it makes sense that, I mean, if you put like a mixture of neurons that contains both synthetic ones that were created like in another experiment, and also ones that come from my semen and my NP. So there should be like a quiet, like a big variety of neurons, because, and obviously there should be like up in absolute terms much more smaller ones than bigger ones, because again when we zoom in, like there are always we always like when we zoom in, like we always see neurons. I mean, when you zoom in like I mean when we like when with my P or my semen under the microscope, you always see neurons. So in absolute terms, there are much more smaller ones than bigger ones. I've in the past, I mean, I found it surprising, and I still don't have like a very good explanation. But the yellow pools are actually something that I still don't understand. It's still a mystery, because there is still a lot to be investigated regarding the yellow pools. But you can see very well in the photographs, in the videos, when you see the yellow pools, it is evident that there are at the same, like a specific zoom level, when you like mostly, I mean, the 64 magnification, which is mostly the minimum that I can use, and it's also very like it's a very good magnification, 64. I mean, mostly you don't need more than that, because you can see a lot of stuff with 64. But you, again, I can use up to 1500, but I mean it's only for very specific cases. Like mostly 64 is actually fine, like to see a ton of stuff. So when I've said it, I mean that it's surprising how many large ones you see in relation to small ones in the same magnification layer. But this is true for specific layer. I mean, it is still true. I mean, at the same time, it is true that when you zoom in, you still see neurons at very high quantities, which means that there are much more smaller ones than bigger ones, which is actually is to be mathematically is to be expected. This is expected. What I claimed is that it is also true, but not demonstrated, that in a specific zoom level you will see much more smaller ones than big ones, and that is actually not true. Anyway, because of the fact that that there are so many smaller ones and bigger ones, my estimation was that a successful enlargement experience would actually produce a sample on a slide that looks pretty much like creating new ones, because there are, I mean presumably there are so many tiny ones, perhaps even nanoscopic ones, that when you tell them to grow, I mean, it's like you tell them to be. It's like the same as to tell them to be created. I mean, it's not the same, but it's the same after you take the sample. Well, I don't want to get too mathematic about it, and I need to formulate it better. So let's just take a look. Anyway, here there, yes, it looks like that. It looks very similar to the ones that I've shown you after the creation experiment. So it's as I said, it's 64. This is a glass slide covered with sellotape. I found a little bit of sellotape, so I better use the sellotape, because using two slides is just not, glass slide it's too thick. So sellotape is better. It's best that I use the proper glass slides, but I don't have it. I will see a huge one over here. This one is really big. You see? Wow, this one. Obviously, I mean, not all are like, I mean, many are not prepared. I mean, which is to be expected, of course. That will be many like that are in the middle of like being prepared or in the process, and many that looks actually fine. The line that you see, the horizontal line, is just is the line between two sellotape strips, because I only have very thin, narrow sellotape which cannot cover the slide, so I'm using two horizontal ones. So that's the line that you see. I mean, we see a lot of big ones, prepared big ones, not just blobs. These look like, the ones that are now in the middle looks like, they are ready to work their asses in the mines. They are both big and bright and also thick. Just the strips of sellotape. I mean, it makes sense that, that the reason why, there is it looks as different stuff. It's not different stuff. It's just that, that the edge of the sellotape. Obviously, when you put the sellotape on, so the first one, then the material is aligned with the sellotapes, and the second one is actually it's like a different mixture, but it's because of the way that you actually put two sellotapes one on top of the other in order to cover everything. It's of course it's very unscientific, and the best way is against to use the proper slides, but it does give us some advantage because I can have much more material on the sellotape, because the covers are traditional covers are squares. You can put actually several covers, but anyway, I should get the thin covers. But the sellotapes are also fine. We have pretty good quality. I don't see I already don't see the need to actually zoom in too much right now. Maybe I'll do it maybe let's zoom in a little bit. Find a place. Let's find a place to zoom in. It's quite uniform, I would say. Not much. Okay, that is the end of the sellotape here. Maybe I don't know. It's pretty uniform, I would say. Any places is good as another. Let's do it here. Now the focus. These look unprepared, but these look very good. There are many, actually most of them look like they are not done, but there are still a ton of ones that look that they are ready. So let's try to zoom even more. This one is always difficult. It's now (16 times 4). It's like 600. I'll say 16 times 40. 700. It's difficult to focus, but this one looks like a Neo, but difficult to focus on it. Actually, it's not. I found that the larger zooms, as I said, I mean, the are really, I mean, the larger magnifications are not very helpful for me. They were very helpful actually when I searched for living organism, and actually found many times living like moving organism and that are very tiny. This was very interesting to see how do they interact with the Neros, and there are actually and very nice videos that show it from January and February, because during this time I was interested in how, like, I mean, to see that, I mean, Neros interacting with germs and viruses. But I mean, recently I'm less like, my experiments are less, I mean, focused on that, and more focused on dead material, like, or synthetic material, and it actually comes like mostly in much larger like forms, so you don't really need the very, I mean, the very big magnification. So I'll try to create more of these and then store them like in a jar, and maybe then do another ring experiment. Actually, enlarging is not that, I mean, even from the symbolic point of view, is not that, I mean, simple. I mean, there is like the mathematical issue of, I mean, how do you represent, like, by how much do you want to enlarge? And I have some clues, I mean, to it. Even though it's not terribly important to be precise if I want them to enlarge things like Neros, because there are tons, I mean, there are a ton of them. So, I mean, you understand? I mean, it's more of an issue if you want the Neros to not only enlarge something but also concentrate on something. For example, the rings. I mean, you've seen, like, even in the droplet I've show you like yesterday before I spelled, like, I mean, I throw away all the 1 liter from the window. You've seen that there are actually, I mean, several like significant examples of things that certainly look like rings on the way. Which means that, I mean, in the entire jars, beside tons of Neros, there were also probably 1 million, I mean, or 100,000 or so, like, I mean, microscopic, I mean, sculptures of things that are, that are on the way to be rings, which were also thrown out of the window. I mean, for the cats should, I mean, be very grateful. And I'm sure that they will also be very grateful for, I mean, for this. I mean, this will be, I guess it will be for, will wait for breakfast before I'll give them that. But tomorrow morning they will get it for breakfast. Maybe we will create a new, I mean, like kind of like super cats here, like, I mean, in the street, like real cats, not like you call cats. I mean, like street cats. I mean, after like enough of such meals, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they will start to, I mean, to boast superpowers, and this could be interesting, very interesting. So you also want them to concentrate. I mean, you don't want, I mean, I don't want them to enlarge to 100,000 rings because it will take forever. I want them to only do it to like 1 or 2 or 3, and it's a question like how to make them do it. And it's not only a question of symbol; it's also a question of like physically, like how do you you need like to concentrate them like in a specific place. So I mean, it's an issue. Perhaps like a smaller, I mean, size of container would be preferable, even though you want the mouse to be like relatively big in order to put the symbols on top. So again, something like a martini glass could be helpful, and I will find it helpful even, I mean, before that for other purposes. Maybe I'll search. I mean, it's not something that you regularly find in the trash, but I'll think about something solution. Okay.